Yeah.
That's good now?
Oh, yeah.
We're rolling?
Yeah, perfect, man. Yeah.
Cool, bro. Yo, it's nice to have you here, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
No problem. So essentially, I'll give you a little backstory, I guess. I've always wanted to do interviews on this show, and lately I've been listening to a lot more podcasts. And I just decided, just go for it, just do it. I just reached out to a ton of people, and I realized it's time to get my dreadlock community that I've done videos on in the past. I want to get them kind of more impersonal on the show, and I just figured it was a great time to start recording with everybody being at home and whatnot. So my idea is to basically ask you a bunch of questions that I've written out regarding dreadlocks, just skating, lifestyle in general, and bring it to the channel with a little bit of editing. Kind of fill it up with some B-roll as much as I can over our conversation.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So
sounds good.
Yeah, I appreciate you stopping by, man. It's an honor to have you here. So
no, hyped to be on, dude.
I'm gonna do like a quick intro just to throw it to the show, and
okay.
And then we'll chop it up from there.
Sounds good.
Word up. All right, so yo wagwan, it's that guy. This is knotlocks, not nation, and today another episode going down for the Dreadication podcast. We have yours truly, Mr. Cameron Talbott. How you doing today, sir?
Good, man. Doing great. How you doing?
It's been a long day. I'm definitely excited to be doing these podcasts and just to kind of be active. And I'm just having a great. To be honest, I just came out of a really deep spiritual conversation with a friend of mine. So
okay.
I'm kind of like in awe about some stuff that I've been wondering about in the past, just in my life, and just kind of like coincidentally talking about it again tonight. So like right now I'm just kind of like still coming off of that little discussion that I just had, but I figured it was a great starter for our show today, jumping right into the deeper end of things on maybe instead of just kind of wondering what your thoughts are with dreadlocks and spirituality, like kind of what is your connection on them?
Okay, yeah. I think just hair in general, man. Like it possesses like an energy.
For sure.
And with locks, like I kind of when I originally did it, I just did it to kind of like. It's like my identity. It's like an expression of who I am. Just kind of just letting things flow as they should. Mm-hmm. Not really trying to conform to the, what's expected of me or the social standard or like, shaving my face and getting a haircut. And kind of part of that whole like little rebel mentality, being a skater, growing up as a skater and running around doing my own thing, kind of being a little punk in that sense. But yeah, I definitely think that there's something, I can't quite put my finger on it, but there is something very powerful with hair in general, locked or not. I think when someone grows their hair out, it kind of really shows who they are. I don't know if that makes sense.
And what I'm getting from your answer is more so identity, more like self-awareness. A connection with yourself that some people might not achieve or understand if you don't make that connection with your hair, and that's what I'm getting from that answer.
Yeah, definitely like a sense of identity. I mean, there's so many different ways to do your hair. You can have no hair, you can grow your hair long, you can dye your hair different colors. Like I think hair is something that we all have at some point.
Exactly, yeah.
And if we're fortunate enough, we can experiment with it and kind of express who we are through it. And in certain situations, like work and other things, like there are like kind of rules or like guidelines where they want us to upkeep our hair, uphold a certain image. And I think that kind of sucks. I get like, people, especially in like professional settings, want people to be presentable, but I
Yeah.
think as long as you're taking care of yourself, like why can't you just do your hair how you want to do your hair, and especially if it's like who you are and what you're comfortable with, and feel like that's an expression of who you are.
Yeah, definitely. So that reminds me more of you've probably seen this clip from Bob Marley where he says, "Would you ever cut your hair?" And he says, "No, I wouldn't, because this is my identity. This is kind of who I am."
Yeah.
Like that's how I kind of feel like that answer resonates with me from that clip that I've really drawn towards from Marley. So I mean, that was a little. This interview is gonna be actually already. It's a little bit not backwards, but by me asking with that question first, it was just a little bit more off guard than what I wanted to do. Because obviously, I just wanted to get out of the way because I was just being honest, and that's what I was thinking about, right?
Totally.
So I appreciate the answer, and I just want to jump back a little bit more towards the introduction, and if you could just tell us, who you are. How you've gotten to where you are now with your hair, just like a quick, like, what's your name, where are you from, and why do you have locks?
Okay. Well, my name is Cameron Talbott. I was born here in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Montana and bouncing back and forth between Montana and San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
and now I am back in San Francisco.
Hmm.
Let's see, I started my locks by just backcombing, and that was probably about 10 years ago now. I'm 34, so I did it when I was 24. So yeah, I just kind of started backcombing and then just kind of let time do the rest. Wore a lot of beanies, a lot of hats, trying to get that friction. I was not about using wax or really kind of like, once I did the backcombing, I just wanted time to do the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess originally a long time ago, I was actually living out of a tent, working a full-time job. And I was really just I just wasn't sure of the world I lived in. And I wasn't really feeling the whole social standard and the whole 9 to 5. And I was just kind of had a lot of personal things going on. And I felt like knotting my hair was, just kind of a reflection of, again, kind of going into that identity thing, but like how I was feeling at the time. And I was very day by day, and literally my hair was knotting day by day. So it was
Crazy.
a direct reflection of where I was, where I was at that point in time. I guess I still do live day by day, and I try to be present, most of the time. Acknowledge the past and all that I can learn from it, and be aware of the future and its possibilities, but try to be right now. And I felt like my hair was something that was evolving right then in that time. And I just kind of let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And it got longer and longer. And I actually recently cut it. I'm sure you can tell I don't have as much length. I got one guy here that I kept.
Oh shit! Yeah. That was the original length, or have you trimmed it beyond that?
Yeah, so the original length, this guy I kept. It's kind of, I don't mean to sound too hippy dippy, but I chopped it because there's just such a heavy. It's kind of been a wild year, as we all know.
Yeah.
Had a lot of things going on in my community as well as personally, and I felt like kind of talking about earlier, there's a lot of energy in hair, and we store a lot of energy in there, and I needed to kind of chop the ends and let some things flow, but I kept the one to kind of remind me of like what I don't want to move on from everything completely. I think I need to learn from what I felt, but I just needed a little bit of a fresh feel, and I felt like I needed to let some things go. And so by doing so, I chopped I chopped some hair, and
Yeah.
I literally just kind of put it back and just did this little thing.
Oh wow. And that was it. And you
And
just did them all at once.
yeah, I felt it. I actually just did it when I was in Utah about a month ago. And I don't know, man. I just woke up at a buddy's house and I just found a pair of scissors and just felt like it was necessary. Just kind of went with what I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you know B-Free,
Yeah,
Brian Freeman.
yeah.
He recently cut his locks, and I remember he told me, just don't think about it, just do it. And so that's kind of where I was at. Maybe not as extreme to completely cut them all off, but in that moment, I just found scissors and I chopped, and I just felt like something I needed to do it in that point in time.
Did you ever feel like you'd be letting other people down by cutting your hair?
I guess I didn't really think about it in that way. I know a lot of people probably associate me and maybe my skating and you know with my locks, but I don't know. I was just so in that moment that I kind of just
Mm-hmm.
it just let it happen. And then my buddy Cody Lampman was actually the one who noticed. He's like, "Whoa, dude, did you cut your hair?" I was like, "Yes, yeah, I did."
Damn.
So
So
no,
does it feel a lot fresher? Like, is it more refreshing right now? Like, how does it feel
well,
after you locked it? You chopped it?
I will say that it does feel a lot lighter and cool. I was in Utah. I was in southern Utah, so I was in the desert, and it did feel a lot cooler.
Okay.
But it was weird, you know. Like, kind of shook my hair around, and it was like really like there was air there, if that makes sense.
It's like phantom limb almost.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, you feel like they're still there, but they're really not.
Yeah, it was weird, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just something that happened, and I kept the one, and yeah, I mean, I'll hair's a funny thing. It's a very funny thing. I've even thought about even recently, just like, should I cut it all off? But I like to have them because there's still something there that I feel I need to keep with me.
So, like, what do locks mean to you, essentially? Like, you want to hold on to them for a certain reason.
It's like I said earlier, it's like a lot of energy that I've stored in there. You know, a lot of our energy escapes to our head, and a lot of our energy escapes to our feet. And I feel like I kind of trapped some there, and I have it there to kind of like remind me of times, and you know, can learn from what's there, and yeah, I guess overall, yeah, my locks are my identity, and they're something that I hold very sacred to me. You know, like,
That's dope. And you mentioned before when you created them, you initially did the back combing.
Yeah.
Like, did you like rip and twist them at all, or just back comb and you left them?
I back combed and I left them, and I did a little bit of with a crochet hook.
Yeah.
And I tried to like pull things in, but I didn't want it to be tight. Like, I didn't want it to be looking forceful. I kind of wanted it. Right now you can see, you know, I have tons of loose hair.
And that's what you want. That's what you're going for.
Yeah, I want it to be.
Time.
Yeah, so I didn't want it to be tight and also not to be uncomfortable. I wanted it to be comfortable. I wanted to just wake up and go, you know. And part of having locks to me is just the lack of maintenance in your hair.
Yeah, for sure.
You shouldn't have to maintain it, or maybe you should. I don't know. Everyone has their own journey with their locks, and maybe some people like them very manicured, and it's more of a fashion thing. But I think just kind of letting them go is, for me personally, something that I very much enjoy with them.
Yeah, and like I on Knot Nation, a lot of us here are freeformers, and we do push for as natural of a process as possible with our locks. So I mean, I would always recommend for people to at least try it out, to go natural and see how they turn out, because again, when you force things, like, there's a totally different vibe with it. You know, it's a totally different experience to be able to just live, wake up and go and not really worry about what your hair is looking like, because I feel like locks are supposed to be free. You know, they're supposed to set you free. They're not supposed to be contained within society, because we are kind of being rebellious by growing our hair this way, because we don't want to be like the norm, essentially. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you use any products in your hair?
No. The only thing I do is I'll go through and kind of separate them as they kind of knot together, just to keep from any pulling on my scalp. I just wash my hair with the same soap I wash my body with, usually like Dr. Bronner's. I also had some stuff like a shampoo from Trader Joe's. I think it was Tea Tree Tingle or something.
Yeah, I've seen that one before. Yeah, Trader Joe's Tea Tree.
Yeah, and then I use a anti-residue every once in a while, maybe once a month, to kind of like help get some of the grime off. I've heard of like apple cider rinses.
Have you tried it? You never tried it?
I haven't. Have you?
Yeah, I've done it a few times.
How's it work?
So the way I do it is it's hot water in a tub, apple cider vinegar, baking soda. It's like a little science experiment, because it all starts to fizzle up, and then you put your dreads in there and you just kind of sit there for half an hour. You know, I just laid in the backyard, like smoke a spliff, listen to music, whatever, live stream even, and people just watch me sitting there with my hair in a tub. But they're chilling with me though, and it's the weirdest thing. Like, the dreadlock community is like wants to know what's going on, and the water goes from like a light kind of brown from the apple cider vinegar, and then by the end of it, it's just like chocolate milk. And it kind of just like pulls everything out somehow. And after the rinse, your dreads just feel so much lighter, like they've been holding on to dust.
Totally.
Like, you don't really think that, you know, the dust from the road really settles in your hair, but like you do notice it come out. So I mean, it's definitely worthwhile trying it out. And surprisingly enough, though, like a lot of people that have had locks for 5-10 years that have never done an ACV rinse is pretty common. Whether it's just because I don't know what it is, but it's kind of a daunting task, I guess, the sounds of it. But once you do it, it's not that bad.
I need to do it. I'm one of those people that have yet to try it, to take the plunge, I guess.
But you said you had your locks since 10 years ago?
Yeah, since I was 24.
And this one that you have the longest is the longest that it's grown, like, without trimming it ever?
This one was trimmed as well at one time.
Okay.
So this one is like, you know, every once in a while I would kind of do a little trim, and just kind of same mentality, I guess, the whole time, just kind of trimming it and letting some things flow out. Not only dirt and grime, but just let some energy flow out. And the last trim was a bit extreme. You know, I normally just take little bits here and there, or maybe if I had a stubborn one that I was like, you know, I'd trim a little bit off. But this last one I really chopped, so I chose to, you can see it's like significantly longer. That's the most I've ever trimmed in one sitting, like the most length.
I've noticed that you tend to keep your hair around a certain length over the years.
Yeah, I think I've let it go pretty long before. I'd say the longest I think I had it was maybe like right here.
And how do you find skating with your hair with dreadlocks that are super long? What are like some pros? What are some cons you've encountered?
Pros, man, like feels pretty rad. You know, the feeling to like flow a skate park or like stomp a gap and roll fakie and just kind of let it flow. It's like an indescribable feeling. Maybe if you even have long hair, you might feel that, but there's definitely, and that's that power You know, that's that energy I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. Like when you land something, you feel it, and it's just you let it go. And Montre kind of has that vibe about him too when he does stuff, and it's just all up in his face, and it's just like he don't care. He just let it go, let it flow.
Hmm.
It's like
Really?
it's it's like something you can maybe that's not talked about, but it's
Hmm.
definitely I know we all got to kind of feel that to some degree. I know I do. I know maybe
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do.
So
Um,
with my experience, I've always admired this about watching skating from you and guys like Montre because you're able to skate with your hair down so well. And I've always been one that like if I'm doing a spin and my dreads get in my face, like I bothered me. I'd always have to skate with my hair tied back. Um, and I just could never grab a hold of it. So I don't know that feeling yet of really skating fully free with my hair down and being super confident in lacing all my tricks. Unless my
yeah,
hair's tied back, then I'm like in my zone more so.
got you.
But I'll be honest
Yeah,
with you, as of lately, I really love the style when you wear it with the bucket hats and when you skate, and they
yeah, yeah,
actually help a lot with keeping your hair out of your face while skating too. So,
definitely.
so lately I've been skating with the bucket hats because it allows me to wear my hair down, but still stay out of my face. And
Totally.
it's probably
Yeah.
the best form of for skating actually. So I get why like you've been wearing them for so long while as you skate.
Yeah, and
You
as you
know?
know, it's tough to find a good hat that stays on your head, you know? Like
Oh yeah, dude. Especially like I had to hunt for this bucket hat because it's like a 5XL. Because my head is already big to begin with, so when I have locks on top of it, like
yeah.
it's hard to find any kind of hat that fits. And and actually, it kind of reminds me of when I was growing up. I was always fascinated by dreadheads. But what I remember seeing was like Rastas from Jamaica that always had these huge hats on because all their locks were stuffed up in it. And I just
Yeah,
thought
like a
that was,
tan.
yeah, big Tams.
Yeah.
And I have one here, but I just thought that was so cool that their hats were like massive. It was the biggest hat I've ever seen in my life, and I just thought that was so fascinating. That's like
Yeah, I
I
dug
want to
that
wear
too.
that one day. I just knew I wanted to wear that one day. So
Yeah,
yeah,
dude. No, I
like
feel you on that. It was really cool seeing that like old videos or like even Bob Marley, he's got his hair all stuffed. I think he had like the little
exactly.
bill and and you're just like, you know,
And it's stuffed
very
up in a way where it's just like he doesn't even care. He just kind of stuffs it and then leaves it. It's kind of like half wild.
yeah.
So like
It's some about it.
so going towards dreadlock inspiration, who really inspired you to want to lock your hair and just go free?
Oh man, I think it wasn't as much as somebody. It was just again kind of like how I was living my life at the time, and I felt like knotting my hair was a good reflection of like what I was feeling at the time.
Mm.
Um, you know, I've seen guys, you know, white dudes with blonde hair have locks, and it looked. I always dug it. There's an old skateboarder, Tosh Townsend. Remember
Okay.
that guy?
I had never heard of him actually.
He'd be worth looking up, dude. He had some insane locks, man.
Hmm.
Insane locks. Yeah, Tosh Townsend, I believe his name was. I always liked his look, and even like long time ago, Blake Dennis.
Yep.
Um, he ripped it. Tracy White, you know, there was even my team manager Tom Heiser had some locks at one time.
Crazy.
But as far as influence, yeah, I think it was just a lot of what I was feeling. And when I was younger, there weren't many people with locks. Maybe Santiago Asperuza, you remember
Mhm.
him?
Mhm.
He had some pretty cool locks. Same with Frankie.
Mhm. Big
Really good
time.
style and the locks, and it just was just like such a cool flow. And another thing about with the locks when you're like doing tricks, especially like a gap, it's kind of like when your hair's all over, it's just kind of with like coincides with that fuck it mentality, you know,
Mhm.
like I'm just gonna do it, hair everywhere, don't care, just like I know I got this. It's like a confidence thing, but like yeah, man. But
Huh.
yeah, mostly I think
It was a
yeah,
lifestyle. It was a lifestyle inspiration.
yeah, living in the tent with my dog here, Pete. Still, he's 14 now, but
Oh
you
wow.
know, we lived in in the tent together.
What kind of dog do you have there?
He's a mutt. I don't really know what he is. He's a Pete. Yeah.
There you go.
Let's see if I can. He's sleeping. Yo,
Oh
Pete.
yeah. What up, Pete? He kind of looked.
He's kind of like, what, man? I'm trying to catch some Z's here.
Oh man.
But,
What team are you riding for right now?
I'm skating for Rollerblade.
Okay.
Which is I've been with them for I think like going on 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I skate for Sick Urethane and Transit Apparel, which is a company recently started by Kirill and Tori Tressletter from Salt Lake City.
Nice.
So yeah, those guys are like my support unit.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Sunshine Medicinals. It's
Okay.
like it's a company some of my old buddies back in Montana started. I'm a big fan of their CBD products, just for overall wellness, and they've also got some really good balms for the aches and pains.
Nice.
That skating naturally brings on. So
yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
It's a good time to be a skater with all the medicinal herbs out there.
So cool, man. Yeah, there's so many, in California, it's all recreational.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of different options, a lot of different things to play with.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever face any stigmas having dreadlocks?
Yeah, I mean, I used to live in this neighborhood called the Haight Ashbury. I'm sure you've heard of it. Or
Haight Ashbury?
Haight Ashbury. It's a renowned neighborhood in San Francisco for being like a hippie area. It's where like the Grateful Dead hung out, and Jimi Hendrix had a house there, and Janis Joplin. A lot of musical influence in the like 60s and 70s, and my mom lived there. So yeah, I guess a lot of times I think people would assume like I was the guy that had the weed that they needed.
Right.
As far as like, there's a lot of tourism in that neighborhood because of all the musical history there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, tourists would always, hey, like, can I get some weed? Where to find some weed? Or, stuff like that. But when it went recreational, that kind of died off. But in the beginning, I could just be like, oh, the shop's right up the street.
Yeah, really.
Just go there. Just go there. You're fine if you're over 18 or whatever. But yeah, other than that, not really. Maybe like people assume that I'm like a hippie or whatever. My mom says there's not really many real hippies still alive.
Oh, really?
that they're all old and many have passed.
What defines a real hippie?
I think she was from San Francisco Bay Area, and I think for her the hippie was like kind of that whole movement, 60s, 70s, peace and love, free love, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of mentality has carried over today. People still feel that way a lot, but I think there's just so many different influences, like cultural influences now, that people are just kind of a little bit of everything, as far as like their general outlook on life.
Yeah, true.
Whereas back then, when my mom was younger, she thought like, oh, this is the hippie movement. This is, peace and love up on Hippie Hill, which is a little spot in the Upper Haight. But yeah,
okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think we still use the term hippie. A lot of people do, but I think it can translate to a lot of different things nowadays as opposed to back then. I think if you were labeled a hippie, you were probably associated with a particular movement of people that had a similar mindset of, peace and love and, maybe doing some things and feeling some kind of way, and you know how it is.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
So in terms of your skating career, You know, I've been very influenced by your skating over the years. Definitely been noticed a lot. Watched a lot of your edits. I'm one to always love skaters that have dreads. You know, like just kind of like even with my music, I only listen to musicians that have dreads for some reason. It's a weird obsession. I don't understand it myself, but it's just
Hey,
like
you know what you like.
once you're in the culture, you know, you want to support other people that have the same kind of mentality. You know, like-minded
Yeah,
people, right?
totally.
So,
Yeah.
but anyways, regarding your skating, what do you feel like has made you so successful within your skating career?
Oh wow. Man, I think first and foremost, like I just skate because I love to skate because it's
Mm-hmm.
fun. I
Mm-hmm.
don't expect anything from the industry or the only thing. Like I kind of joke with the fellas though. I'm like, man, I'm just here to crack a smile and break a sweat. You know, like and obviously when you do something long enough, you want to push yourself and um, in pushing yourself, you often progress.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing it a lot, you might progress at a high level. But I think overall, like I don't expect anything from skating other than the high I get from doing it or landing something that I've been working on. Just keeping an open mind and just getting. And I think also when you do something long enough, it kind of becomes an extension of who you are,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know. And yeah, I think that just skating has taught me a lot about life, and so many lessons in skating can be transferred into everyday life
So many,
situations.
so many.
But yeah, that, and also just applying myself when the opportunity arises, not being timid or shy,
Mm-hmm.
just knowing who I am and how I like to skate and doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough. It takes a long time. I've been skating for 20 years more. But yeah, seeing opportunity and growing up skating in Montana for the most part, um, when there are people filming or taking photos, like I would put myself in the mix and try to take advantage of the people around me. And in doing
Okay.
so, you end up pushing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an intimidating thing to break into, especially when you're skating with people you've looked up to your whole life. Like I remember when the very first Shred Till You're Dead. Do you remember that video?
I did.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
it was
I think
basically a group
I
of
did.
really good skaters, like jumped in the van and camped and went all around the Northwest. And I Eric Bailey grew up not too far from me in Boise, Idaho.
Oh, yeah.
So I've known him.
Stop. Oh. Okay, so I was just looking
Yeah.
at the trailer there.
Oh yeah. It's a whole crew of like OGs in there. Now I guess you would consider them OGs, but yeah, they Eric hit me up, and Yvonne and Victor I've known for a very long time. Yvonne
Mm-hmm.
Nares and Victor Arias,
Mm-hmm.
and those guys kind of hit me up and said, "Hey, we're doing some camping and skating. You should come and meet up." So okay, cool. And then I meet up, and it's like Stockwell and Happy and Julio and all these people I grew up watching, and it was pretty wild, pretty kind of intimidating.
Hmm.
But having Eric and Yvonne and Victor there was some familiar faces that comforted me. And
Yeah.
I'd been skating with them, and I've known them for 20 years. I've known Eric for a long time, 20 years or more. And I guess I just really just put myself in it, skated hard every day. And that little encounter with those guys ultimately led to me getting picked up by Valo. A couple
Okay.
of weeks after we departed ways, John Julio emailed me and
Sick.
asked me if I wanted to be part of the team, and it's like, whoa. And then I think I realized, like, it just because sometimes we're around, we're kind of starstruck in a sense, or you're kind of like frozen, you want to watch these people. And but realizing that I just needed to do me and get out and skate and have fun, can actually go a long way in the sense of getting some recognition and exposure, and ultimately some support from companies and people that I highly respected and looked up to. So.
Damn, that's actually a really insightful way of how you became to where you're at with your success in skating, for sure. So it's basically, it's almost like, it sounds like your resources, like you kind of got into the network, and once you realize that, you know, these idols are just, you know, basically other human beings, like you were able to connect with them, you know, and show them the real you.
Totally.
You know, and show them your skills and shit, and, you know, obviously, like, how they're gonna hate, because, you know, you obviously show them that you're skating great, you're an awesome dude, and like, who wouldn't want to recognize that, right? So it's like taking advantage of the flow of energy almost.
Yeah, just trying to just do me and do it the best I can, and most importantly, man, I can't stress enough, just have fun. It's just skating at the end of the day. Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
But that and also living here in the Bay Area now is like, I just had a buddy come visit me, and it kind of reminded me of like how I'm kind of spoiled here. I have like so many places to skate in this city. This city is just an endless skate park. And you know, the people that live around here, you know, Eric Garcia has been in the industry for a long time, and now he takes photos, and he takes really good photos. And we got a lot of people filming, Taylor Coburn and Yvonne Nares, people working on different projects. And there's a lot of people skating, a lot of people doing it in different ways, filming and taking photos, just having fun, putting on different contests, creating, just a lot of people to collaborate with, and really grateful for that, because it's allowed me to continue to keep the love, keep the kind of passion going, you know, like skating's fun, but it's really fun with people that you can enjoy it with, you know, as are most things in life.
Yeah, for sure. That's like almost half of the game right there. Like it's almost like getting a super successful, but then having nobody to share it with. It's like, what's the point? You know, it's all about the people that you're around.
Yeah.
So what about your favorite moments within your skating career? What stands out the most for you?
Getting on Valo was a big one for sure. Especially just, you know, at the time I was living in Montana, and I was the only person skating at times. I would, you know, put on my headphones and go to the skate park, skate for an hour, get the body moving. And that's about all the skating I would do. Other than that, I was, you know, hiking and backpacking a lot, and kind of putting more time and energy into snowboarding, because I had friends that I could share that with.
Right.
So that was a big thing, getting noticed on that sort of level, being in Montana. And that was huge. Another one going even further back kind of ties into the same thing, but you remember Daily Bread, of course. I got a coming up in Daily Bread when I was 16 years old. I was in San Luis Obispo, California. I was skating with a bunch of guys that I've known for a long time, Sacramento guys. We were skating this rail. There was a guy there, Mike Grafina, who was taking a lot of photos for Daily Bread at the time. And it was so funny, because I couldn't even fathom what was even a possibility of being in a magazine or a movie. It was so unobtainable for me, being 16 and just having fun and getting to meet some people. But I remember I did this rail. I knew I could do it. And it was a down flat drop rail. And when I landed, you know, I got some praise from the homies, and the dude, Mike Grafina, was like, that's the next coming up. And I kind of was like, and Coming Up was a part of the magazine that featured young up and comers, you know, that were working their way up. And to be featured in that meant, like, you know, you were on the rise, and you were doing something right with your skating.
Crazy.
And he said, that's the next coming up. And I kind of was like, okay. And then like 2 months later, I got a call from Daily Bread. Actually, it was funny. Like I came home from school and my mom left a note on my door, like, call Justin Eisinger, Daily Bread magazine. Here's the number.
And I can't believe it.
I couldn't believe it. So I called him and it was true. And even after that, man, I was like, all right, I believe it when the magazine drops, you know? Like, it's too. And dude, when the magazine dropped at my school in the library, I was in high school, they had like Trans World Snowboarding and you know, skateboard magazines and different magazines in the library. Daily Bread was one of them because there were several kids that skated. And I remember my homie was like, dude, you see the new Daily Bread? I was like, nah. He's like, dude, you're in it. And I was like, no way. And I got to see it at school for the first time.
Crazy.
And that was a fucking trip, dude. Like, I never really did school sports or was up in the mix like that. But for that month, I was kind of like feeling pretty good.
The month while the subscription is in the library.
Yeah,
that's
man.
Crazy. Yeah, I could imagine the feeling with that, especially like during those times. It's so vivid as well. The memories that are attached to those years.
Yeah,
and like that's taking it to the grave. Damn. Do you I was gonna say within skating. I mean, that's a hell of a moment to remember. That's actually a really good story. What is your favorite trick now? Or has always been? Favorite trick?
I mean, I think a soul grind has always been something that I've just had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, for sure.
Really comfortable. But honestly, man, I love a backside, preferably on a kinked rail.
Okay.
Something about it, like it's kind of, you're throwing yourself out there. It's kind of a risky one. It's as simple as a trick as it is. It's like it can be kind of a risky one on a kink trail. Yeah, you're standing up and
yeah, agreed.
But there's something about the feel of it and working your way through the kink, and it's a good feeling, man. I love that.
A solid answer. Soul on the front and a backside.
What about you, man? What's one of your favorites right now? What are you digging?
Honestly, I'm always a fan of the soul grind.
Yeah.
Like, souls are just like the connection just with the name of it and like the soul of our of the trick and the soul of ourselves. Like, it's got to be your favorite trick, hands down. And I get the comparison with the backside because my soul grinds, I sit down on them, and I'm a tall guy, so my center of balance didn't really come down. On a soul grind, I can balance them forever. But a backside, like, I'm not balancing them so long because I got to stand up so tall. So my chance of me falling on a backside, I have a higher height to deal with, right?
Yeah.
So soul grinds have been my favorite for sure. It was the first trick I ever learned when I threw on a pair of skates. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and grind. I just pictured this from Daily Bread. I'm gonna go for it, and I did it. I was like, okay, soul grinds. Like, these are the ones I'm sticking with. First grind on everything now. Right?
Yeah, dude. That's same with me. First trick. In Montana, actually, there was a steps, and I waxed the bottom of the bottom step, and I couldn't land and roll away. I had to land in grass.
Okay.
So like, and this is part of the reason I ended up doing left foot soul grinds, because I had the option of rolling to the ledge and grinding it and then pretty much landing in grass, or running through the grass, grinding and rolling. Okay. And I thought that the approach, because back then I would look at people like approaching tricks like Dominic Sagona, and I thought that the approach was more of a thing that I should be in tune with. So I chose the approach, and that basically in turn like allowed me to be a left-footed soul grind for my natural trick because the step was on that side. So yeah, kind of crazy to think that I got into something so concrete involved, in the house that my mom raised us at was on a dirt road. So
yeah, crazy. Damn. So yeah, you had I guess you had the dedication there to really just go for something that you love, right? Like you know how to skate. You had your skates, and you had no roads even, but you found something that you wanted to learn on. And like, how old were you when you started skating?
I think I must have been 14 or yeah, must have been 14. And I had some random wreck skates and, you know, classic took out the middle
Middle,
wheels. And
yeah.
and then I came back down here to visit my grandfather, as I so often bounce back and forth between here and two polar opposite places, by the way, San Francisco and Missoula, like the Northern
Yeah,
Rockies.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So I come down to visit my grandfather, and he bought me a pair of K2s, and it was over. Like that was it, man. I was like, I had the proper tools, and shortly after they opened a skate park, the YMCA in the town that I lived in Missoula opened a skate park, and man, hitting the soul grind and rolling away. No more grass.
Yeah. Game changer.
Oh
That's
man,
crazy.
yeah, I was hooked. I was
So,
hooked.
what? You're born in 1986.
Yes,
86.
yeah.
What day is your birthday?
April 26th, 1986.
Okay.
Born here in San Francisco. Yeah.
Crazy. We have a very like I'm the same age, August 3rd, 1986.
Got you.
And
Okay.
when you said like you started skating at 14, like I remember skating. I think I was around the same age. And for you to say that you hit that handrail like 2 years after you started skating, and you're like you knew when the up and comers section had spotted you. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that to me in my eyes. I'm like, that's hella fast progression. That you've gone from 14 to 16, and now you're already hitting handrails. Because I just remember handrails being like the thing I wanted to skate so hard, but because that's all you see in the magazines. But it was just like maybe it was the scarcity of them over where I am in Canada. But like I know in California there's a lot more handrails.
Yeah.
They're more abundant. I think America is just more abundant for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I might have hit my first handrail in my third year. I remember, but I remember once I hit my first handrail, I was like addicted. I was like, that's all I want to do is just skate down handrails, and
totally. You're like, how many different rails in this town can I do this same trick on?
yeah,
Like I want to do them all, you know?
yeah, exactly. But what actually stands out to me about your skating is that you're not always all about the handrails. You're able to find very unique lines within what you're skating, and the way you skate things is you're typically the only person to skate it like that. And I find that stands out a lot in your segments.
Oh wow, thank you.
And like how fast you're able to take carves and just come up with different unique lines. Like it's always entertaining to see like where your mind's going when you're out skating.
Oh wow, yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's you know, Montana and San Francisco, Missoula, it's a mountain town. San Francisco is very hilly.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a lot of classic spots, so I kind of in Montana just made do with what I had, and no runway there'd be a rail, but there'd be a catch. You know, you got a gap to it, or you know, the landing's messed up. So I think that definitely had an influence on my skating, and then also the people I looked up to skating wise, watching Pat Lennon just destroy San Francisco and skate it in a way that nobody else to this day can skate it.
Seriously.
And you know, and him and like BJ Bernhardt and Shima, you know, the OG, the Bomb Squad, those guys. They kind of showed me like what's really possible on skates, and I felt like, you know, the East Coast at the time had the tech thing down. They had like Mike Johnson and Dustin Halloran and the Kelso brothers. Like they were very tech, and that's a lot of love and respect for that. But something about like the West Coast style, particularly like the Bay Area, and watching these guys skate San Francisco and the greater Bay Area the way they did, it resonated with me, and I just found it so cool, you know. And I also found it like so unique to rollerblading. Like it's such a unique thing to us because we can skate those things, whereas like, yeah, there are common obstacles that skateboarders and bikers and I guess more recently scooter people can, you know, we can all go to a skate park and skate that obstacle, or there's famous spots that all sports hit. But the thing with rollerblading, and again, like Pat really stood out to me, was the way he skated the city and made anything possible.
Crazy.
You know, that was really like something that, you know, the Apples movies, man, crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the way he showcased the city, whoo, like, and this city is that crazy, man. Not just the skating, but, you know, the people, and it's a weird place, but it's also full of like so many skate spots and so many different ways you could go about skating. And it's and fortunately the guys I skate with here, John Vasugi and Danny Malm and Taylor Coburn, we all kind of push each other to skate like that. We skate houses, we skate hills. Cool. You know, we feel like it's kind of our responsibility to skate this city the way it's intended to be skated.
Yeah, true. You gotta represent.
Yeah, man, for sure.
So I mean, I have one of the last questions. I have a couple more here, kind of random, but like best hairstyle for skating. What's your go-to when you're just?
Pretty much this. I don't really pull my hair back much. I used to when it was longer. I would kind of pull it into this larger bun thing, but this, or the, you know, the bucket hats. Recently I found a couple random hats that work. Beanies in the winter are great. Keep the hair where it needs to be. But mostly I just let it roll, just let it rip, let it do its thing. But I have had situations where, like, I think we were filming this last, I don't know if you caught that last edit I just posted for this movie we did down here, but there was a gap I did and I was literally blind the whole time. Just like,
because your locks, like,
dude, it was, I was like, I remember looking at Taylor who films and just being like, I couldn't see any of that, you know?
Oh my God. That's the scary part for me.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, sometimes I'm, you know, whatever, but yeah, I don't know. I watched a lot of the homies, you know, Philip Moore, and Ep.3 and Montre, and you know, they just kind of, whether they know it or not, whether you guys know it or not, you've got a certain energy about you with your hair flowing around all wild and crazy, and it's like very captivating, you know. It's I'm watching, you got my attention.
Yeah, seriously.
Feeds into the energy, you know. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. There's the energy that comes within, or actually comes out of dreadlocks. Like it is very fascinating and hypnotizing, you know.
It is,
and you can see it even in, like, if you ever take a photo of you just whipping your locks around in a random scene, it's always different. It's never gonna land the same way, and it just looks like almost electric. Like, to me, it reminds me of tree roots, even, like, you know, like it's a huge interconnecting system almost. Like there is a lot of energy within our locks. I think what this interview today really comes down to is like the energy that is around us, whether you're going through something bad or going through something good. They can always be remembered in different stages. Looking at your locks, like they do tell a story. So, you know, I understand like why you made that trim that we started this video off with, and you cut your locks off recently because you have mentioned you've gone through some stuff, and I mean that's powerful because I mean yeah, you should, not like you should, but it is worthwhile to take note that if you are going through hardships and you have locks and you feel like the weight is on your shoulders literally, then, you know, it's okay to trim them, and like Ep.3 said, just go for it. Don't even think about it. Because I kind of felt that the first time I cut my locks off with my old set, like I was hesitant, mainly because I thought there was going to be a big backlash, which there actually was on YouTube when I cut them off. People were like, "Oh, why did you cut your locks? I was watching you for your locks. And, you know, people leave at the time, start unsubscribing because you don't have dreads anymore. And that's what actually got me into doing reviews, and that's how I ended up doing videos on like different bladers and different artists with dreads, because I didn't have my locks anymore, but I still wanted to represent the culture, and still wanted to show people about you know, that locks are a strong community. And
Totally.
and ultimately it had me just come back to the scene stronger than ever, because now I have the locks that I've kind of always wanted, because I haven't had to do anything to get them manipulation wise. I'm really learning to just embrace them for what they are. And
it's part of the process.
It is, yeah. It's a big process.
Even chopping them, it's all the experience and, you know, what you felt, you know.
And I remember my last question here is, have you ever messed with dye within your locks?
With dye?
Yeah. Changing the colors of them, or like
no,
right?
no.
Yeah?
My hair gets pretty bleached out in the sun. I've had a couple people on the train ask me if because it does look highlighted in the sun, like in the back of my head looks like some are really blonde and some are not, but it's always just been just sunshine doing its work. But no, I've never really thought about it. I don't know. I kind of just like them how they are. Yeah, but I totally dig how some people add color, or like I kind of like, you know, like sometimes people with like darker hair, like your hair, they'll add a little like bleach into it, and it kind of like, I kind of dig that look. I've noticed a lot more in recent years people are adding like red to their locks. But yeah, man, I think it's all like we were saying in the beginning, like hair, there's just so much you could do with it, and it's like to each their own. Everybody's got their process, everybody's got their journey. They cut them short, they grow them long, they cut them all off, they grow them back. Like it's all you and your own personal journey with your hair, and ultimately you and who you are spiritually. Totally.
Yeah, and last question here before we go is, if you could leave the audience watching the video with any form of value, just for them to take away from this interview, what would you say? It could be whatever comes to mind, but just some sort of value that you might share that you've learned over the years, or with your hair, or you know, anything that comes to mind.
Oh man, I guess just, you know, do you. It's so important to just do you. You know, don't be afraid to try new things or whatever you're feeling. Like that's the ride. This is the wave we're on with life. You know, like don't be afraid to try something, and don't be afraid to just put yourself in a position, even if it means failing. You know, defeat is the greatest form of education. You know, we all learn from our mistakes, and if you want something bad enough, like you'll obtain it. It may take time, but nothing good ever came easy, you know. And just stay positive, have good intentions, and hope that everything will unfold as it should.
For sure. A very valuable piece of information there.
Yeah.
No, it's sick. And it's always good to see different people's perspective there. I feel like we're all pretty like-minded, and that resonates with a lot of us.
Yeah, you know, especially now it's been a wild year, and I think, you know, there can be a lot. I won't get too deep into it, but
yeah, no worries.
It's I think we need positivity and love, and we just need people to, like, more than ever, just go out and actively just be a good person. When you leave your door every morning or afternoon or whenever it is you go out, just like go project like kindness and just be a good version of yourself. Try to be the best version of yourself you can. And no one's perfect. We all have things we're working on. Life would be incredibly fucking boring if we had nothing to work on.
Yeah,
so
straight up.
All part of the process. But yeah, just be a good human. You know, just go out your door and just be a good fucking human being, and I think we all need that on a large scale right now.
For sure. For sure.
Brush your teeth.
And brush your teeth. Yeah. Floss too. Make sure you remember to floss.
Brush your teeth. You only get one set, and eat your greens. And one thing with all the COVID, it's like I see everyone wear a mask, but like eat healthy, be healthy, exercise, use your body. You know, there's a lot of different ways to you know, be healthy. So
be healthy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's all I really got.
Wicked, man. Well, yo, I appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast and helping support something new and growing with the whole channel here.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problems. And then I wish you the best of luck within your skating career, and I definitely hope to stay in contact. Hopefully do an update video later on. Let us know how your locks are doing down the road and how you're doing, of course.
Definitely. Yeah, and be on the lookout. We're working on a new skate for Rollerblade, so hopefully that'll give people something to look forward to. Should be leaking sometime soonish.
Sometime soon. Perfect.
Yeah.
And one other question is, who would you recommend that would be a good guest that you might know offhand that has locks for me to connect with?
Dude, I would love to see Montre.
Yeah,
would be cool. He's just such a his personality is just super energetic. I don't know him as well as I'd like to, but our interactions have always been good and positive. But I know he's put in so much work in our community as far as rollerblading and even the dreadlock community. Like he's had locks for a long time.
For sure.
And you want to talk about energy? That man's got it.
He's got it.
And even maybe Be Free. You know, he recently cut his locks, and
he still have a lot of insight.
He's a really good dude. Love that guy. Yeah, those are just a few I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. If you guys are watching this, try and holler at you.
Definitely.
All right, man. All right, well, much love, many blessings to you, man. Once again, appreciate you stopping by, and yeah, we'll definitely talk soon.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, bro. Peace out, yo.
Knotlocks.